Long time no see, everyone. Hisashi buri, tanto tiempo sin verte. It's your old mate Cardigan back at it again. This time with a closer look at something I guess we haven't delved into here, but it is the very popular Yohji sub-label, GroundY. Now, throughout my journey into fashion over the past few years, there has been one label that from very, very early on, I kind of gravitated towards, especially when getting into the Yohji sphere, being the aforementioned GroundY. And it was mainly because they provided, at least from, me being a very greenhorn to all of this kind of thing, a better entry point into the Yohji sphere with pieces that, at least in the secondhand market, were more, let's say, accessibly priced compared to the mainline. And for someone that wasn't aware of really what anything was at the time, I found that it kept being GroundY that I would gravitate back to because they were things that A, they fit me because a lot of the silhouettes are quite oversized, and B, the price was right. So for me personally, that was how I really got into the more avant-garde Yohji style type things in my journey. So whereas now I may not really have a lot of GroundY or really wear a lot of GroundY, I still have quite a soft spot in my heart for them because they were, my entry into all this, as I've said multiple times already in like the past minute. So yeah, I wanted to do a video sort of highlighting the pieces that I have had some access to. Some things came in the mail the other day for the shop that I did want to show off as well, including a comparison of wrap pants from the mainline wrap pants to the GroundY wrap pants too. So stay tuned for that. So what is GroundY, you may be asking? So under the Yohji umbrella, there are various sub-labels. We have Y's for Men, Y's, Sight, and like among so many others, there's a silly amount that have existed and that still exist to this day. It is a huge umbrella of labels and sub-labels. But GroundY itself has always been focused on sort of ageless, genderless. The unisex aspect of it is very, very significant. All the pieces they put out are for everyone. They do not sort of skew one way or the other in terms of, the binary male, female sort of thing of fashion. They are for everyone. One could argue that basically any Yohji piece is for everybody, especially the mainline put on, but the femme collections do skew with smaller sizes, so not quite for everybody. But GroundY itself is very generous with their sizing for the most part. There are some pieces that you definitely want to check measurements on because they might fit a bit slimmer than expected, but the majority that I've had experience with could fit most bodies. And obviously that is not every type of body, but it is a much, much broader spectrum than say a lot of other, big ticket items that you may see on the market. And I've mentioned cost before in terms of the pieces. When you look at them online on the actual Yohji shop, they do seem quite high in terms of price. The resale is very, very mixed. You can find some things for amazing deals, whereas some of the more sought after pieces, say from their collaborations, there have been a few collaborations from things ranging to watches to bigger, larger scale collaborations like the Chainsaw Man anime collaboration, the Jujutsu Kaisen anime collaboration. I don't know how the Yohji sub-labels pick and choose who they want to collaborate with because Sight, the online-only label, has consistent collaborations coming through, whereas GroundY is not as consistent with their offerings. But I suppose that's also because they do have brick and mortar stores, so they might follow more closely a more season-to-season type release schedule rather than Sight that just, because it's online only, things are just always coming out for Sight specifically. GroundY, at least from what I can tell online, tries to release season-to-season, although for those nerds out there that do love to read tags, the tags on a GroundY piece, especially for season, do not correspond to a mainline season. So it's a bit hard to try and determine exactly when and what season a piece is from because we don't have that data, and pieces are removed from the website when they may be pertaining to a specific season. So it's hard to like document everything properly when there's no database for that. And I want to say that I started trying to do this, and within like an hour, I was already bashing my head against the wall being like, this doesn't make any sense. So if anyone is interested in doing that, hit us up on the Discord. We can try and figure it out, but I'm just not sure how we're going to do it without access to original posts on the website that would have the season denoted with them. So before we look at the pieces that we have here as well, I did want to discuss fabrics in terms of what we see in GroundY. We do see quite the spectrum of fabrics across the board, but there are a couple that I wanted to highlight that I feel, from my searches and travels and experiences with the label, are the ones that I would associate as, I guess, let's just call them their signature fabrics. And the first one in that round is the wool poly blend. So the GroundY wool poly blend is marked as fabric code 100, which for those playing at home, the 100 fabric is wool gabardine in the mainline fabric code world. But for GroundY, it represents a blend of polyester and wool. And this is something that is found year in, year out with the pieces that they put out. The wool poly blend, I would say, is fantastic. I mean, yes, there is polyester in there. Yes, a lot of people hate polyester. I feel like polyester can be a very, very trepidatious topic. Didn't mean to use alliteration there. But the matter of fact is that there are ways to use polyester that can be beneficial. Obviously, there's people that are quite determined to be using natural fabrics and things, but sometimes you can come across with situations and blends that do turn out pretty good. And I feel like the GroundY wool poly blend is a great example of that. It has great luster. It drapes amazingly. It can be worn trans-seasonally. So you have a lot of options with it, and it just looks great, and it also feels great, and it feels quite luxe as well. It is a pretty great fabric, but obviously, a lot of people will be aiming for that wool gabardine 100 from the mainline as the Rolls Royce of Yohji fabrics. But a very, very important thing to remember here is that as manufacturing, as the world progresses and resources deplete and things like that, some of the classic fabrics, yes, they might use the same fabric code, but they may not be at the same standard that they once were, purely because the resources aren't there anymore. So sometimes introducing things like polyester can try and create some sort of like future-proofing in fabric creation that will not run out. Whereas like wool and the way wool is produced and the methods it's used to be produced, there's only a finite of places in Japan that can do this. And that might be getting smaller and smaller as costs go higher and higher. And there's just a lot in the industry that I'm not too privy to. It's not my wheelhouse, but I would think that, yes, that is probably one of the reasons why things may not be as well made as they once were. It's not because the artistry isn't there. Perhaps it's a resource thing. But yeah, on that tangent, the wool poly blend, I do really, really like it. I think it's great. And if you don't think it's great, that's fine. But, hopefully you can experience it at one stage. And yes, of course, I will reiterate that I'm not saying it's better than the mainline gabardine 100. Potatoes, potatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. It's just a matter of preference. And sometimes the preference is spending less rather than more. Moving on from that then, the other fabric that I would say is probably one of my favorite Yohji fabrics overall is the 500 fabric. So this goes by many names. Well, I've only seen it really with like two names, either a crepe de chine or tuxedo. I know that the mainline 500 is tuxedo, and this is a triacetate polyester blend. Oh my goodness, synthetic fabrics. What are we gonna do? But this thing is wild. The first time I came across the triacetate polyester blend, let's just call it tuxedo. I think for GroundY, they call it crepe de chine. For mainline, it is called tuxedo. It is the same code, 500 for both, and it is the same blend of triacetate and polyester. I'm not sure whether there is like a proper difference there. I've not experienced personally a mainline 500, so I don't have both in hand to give you that information there. But I can tell you that like the GroundY one, oh my goodness, it is so nice. It is wrinkle resistant. It is breathable. It has weight to it. It drapes so well. It is so comfy, especially for those who might have sensitive skin, like myself. Silky smooth. It is so good that I wish everyone could be here and like just touch it. It's just, yeah. The 500 is probably my favorite out of all the Yohji fabrics, but mainly because, you know, I just have weird things with wool. Wool and I don't get along. If you've been here long enough, you've heard me talk about it. We do not get along. But yeah, so they are the two fabrics that I would say are the showcase GroundY fabrics, and you can catch them in store if you are in Japan, because there are brick and mortar stores for GroundY. That is sort of also another reason why GroundY prices are more than site prices. Because site is online only, GroundY has physical locations you can go into and experience things for yourself. So yeah, you've probably skipped ahead to this point in the video because I've been talking for ages and not actually showcased anything. So let's get to it. Let's look at some pieces. So this is the lineup I have here. We have 2 pairs of pants and we have got 1 top and then 2 outer pieces that I'm going to just say are more like lighter outer pieces, but they're not base layers. So that's why they are outer pieces. You get me, right? You get me. All right. Let's have a look at the first one. So here we have the Yohji GroundY big long shirt. And I'm going to just say it's the big long shirt because it's quite big. In fact, I can't even fit it in the frame without like holding it back here. That's how long it is. But we can have a look at it here. As you can see, GroundY tag. All the GroundY tags do look like this. It's sort of GroundY on the front and the back that is uniform across all the pieces. And this is a very simple long shirt. However, the standout feature is that it is in that 500 crepe de chine fabric. So it is gorgeous. I think you can sort of see how it's sort of got that luster to it when it does hit the light. Otherwise, it is a very basic looking shirt. We do have a difference in the front and the back. Like how, sorry, let's get to the hem. Can we get there? Yes. The rear is a bit longer than the front there. And we can see that the sides as well, there is no slit on those sides, but the top is quite large and has a very sort of flowing silhouette. So not having that slit there doesn't really affect movement too much. We have a simple chest pocket, buttons all down the front, and also functional buttons on the sleeves here as well. Let me just get to, if I can find it. Sometimes it's really easy to find the tags and other times it is a nightmare, but we did it, we got there. So as we can see here, we have that triacetate polyester blend and also the product code here as well. No real warnings on this, just saying that the piece could shrink after washing. As usual, try and dry clean. If you do not have dry clean available, hand wash. Or if you must, simply use a washing machine. Cold gentle cycle like delicates. On cold, always cold, will do you all right. But yeah, simple top. It's one of those things like, I wish you could touch it because it's just so comfy. But yeah, big long shirt, GroundY. Okay, so next up, we're going to move on to the couple of outer pieces that I have here. And this one you may have seen. I rarely wear this one as like the complete outer layer, but I like to wear it in a sort of, as a mid layer quite a lot. This is an asymmetrical, it's really hard to display because they're very big. This is an asymmetrical draping cardigan. This is in cotton, by the way. So we can see we have the GroundY tag there. And just the way that this thing is made, we have like the neck here, and then sort of this kind of like shawly collar part that sort of rolls over along the top itself. Sleeves do not have any buttons of any kind, but the standout feature, I'm gonna have to stand up for this, is that you can see that along the hem, it drapes and is longer on either side, which is such a neat little feature. Looking at the back of it here as well, we just have this one long seam all the way down the back. Other features include pockets on the outside there for your hands. And see if I can get like a better look at the fabric here. You can see it's a lot of the inside there of it. It's much smoother on the outside, and it is also a little bit see-through as well. Not so much that you need to really be worried about anything or getting a little bit lewd out there, but something to note nonetheless. We have the tag here as well, denoting the cotton, and also have the product code there as well. Warnings, similar. It might shrink. I feel like that's just natural with most of these things. Please use a cleaning net. So this piece I've actually had in my wardrobe for such a long time. I feel it does not get worn a lot because I wear it with a specific outfit where I'll have a shirt or a long shirt as a base layer. This is a mid and then a coat over the top. And the length of the coat ends around here. So the little draping parts sort of stick out underneath, and it is pretty gorgeous to see in motion, and just the layering, I really like how that looks as well. I have seen this piece also in the Crepe de Chine 500 fabric. That would be pretty neat. And also in the Wool Poly Blend 100. I'm not sure which would be the ideal fabric for this. I do like the cotton because, as I've said, I have sensitive skin. But I think if you're looking for, maximum drape action, then the Wool Poly Blend or the Crepe de Chine is probably what you've got there as well. I think you can maybe also get this in like Tencel, which may be even better for like warmer weather. It's really up to you, but it is a piece that they have released multiple times in different fabrics. So only time will tell if they keep releasing it and they do anything new with it. But it's a pretty decent layering piece and just has a lot of flexibility in what you'd like to do with it. So that's why it's still in the wardrobe. All right, next up is the final outer piece. So let's have a look. Now, this is another one that's been in the wardrobe for a while, and it doesn't get a lot of wear, and you're gonna see why. So this is in the 500 fabric. Again, the Crepe de Chine. We love it here. And it is like a Hanten Howdy type gown. So there is no real collar on this. We can see that the collar itself is a different fabric to the rest of it. As you can see, it is a little bit sheer as well. But a Hanten or Howdy type thing is a Japanese garb, traditional garb that you just wear very relaxed over the top of things. You've definitely seen these if you watch any anime, perhaps some Japanese cinema as well. But they're very, very popular in the terms of like traditional Japanese wear. Around the waist, there is a draw cord that goes all the way around so you can cinch it and hold it in. The sleeves are not full length, and they also have this beautiful cuff as well there towards the end. These kind of sit maybe like here along the arm. They're not supposed to go all the way down. It's quite long as well. On the sides, we do not really have any sort of slits, but we do have pockets on both sides as well. So the reason I don't wear this very often is there are like points in some sorts of like more traditional Japanese where they can come across as very cosplay if you put them on, and I try and avoid doing that. But I do like to wear this if I am, heading somewhere down that track. If I'm wearing like balloon pants or something tucked into boots, it can look very, very nice. It's also just a very casual jacket that's so comfy and it moves very well. Much nicer in warmer weather than cooler weather because this is quite thin. And overall, I do like it a lot. I have this and another sort of similar traditional Japanese style garment. And yeah, for similar reasons, they both don't get a lot of wear, but I still like them so much. Here we have the tag front there as well in the size 3. And also the product code there as well for this one. Yeah, I mean, this is something I wouldn't recommend to anyone for those reasons that I mentioned before. But if you do not mind looking like that, go for it. Like, why not? It's a solid layering piece. I've worn this layered over coats. I've worn this layered over this guy. It's just easy as. Wear like a big flowy shirt underneath and whoa. Baby, you've got a stew going. A stew going. Okay, so with that, that's the end of the tops. Let's look at the pants. So first of all, I have said that we're going to look at the GroundY wrap pants and do a quick comparison with the mainline wrap pants. So but we'll just leave that for last. And instead, before going there first, I've confused myself. Let's look at the balloon pants. So this is a pair of GroundY balloon pants in the wool poly 100 fabric. These ones are characterized by having a lot of tucks along the waist that you can see throughout here. No back pockets. Look, that's a pretty big deal for me, but I've noticed that a lot of pants just don't come with back pockets. And I suppose it is, a big thing for like the silhouette and the way the pants flow, but I'm a wallet in one back pocket, phone in the other back pocket kind of guy. So it's always a bit like, oh man, I have to put this in my bag. Irrelevant. So irrelevant. But yeah, so GroundY balloon pants. Differences to other balloon pants. The GroundY ones, because they are unisex, do fit a little bit shorter than the mainline. So if you are a short king or just somebody of overall shorter stature, these will still look very, very good on you and, may not sort of graze the ground because that can happen with the mainline pieces. There are other sort of notable differences, like the zips are very clearly YKK branded on this, whereas mainline, they will be most likely black and have Yohji branding on like the zip pull as well. These pants have a French bearer in there, got a button on the outside on the waist, and also an external draw cord. The waist of these is not elasticated whatsoever, so they are quite wide and you do cinch them. These only come in one size, 3. So with a lot of Yohji pieces, as we've said time and time again, they are supposed to be oversized on the waist. You're supposed to cinch them. It's supposed to, sort of bunch up and create that kind of disheveled look around the waist. That's just how it's supposed to be. I have had many people in the past ask, do these come in this size or this side? On the website, they are just a size 3. That's the only size that they offer. So it is just part of how it all goes. An interesting little detail as well is that, so we have the side pockets here, right? And if we look at the back, just like here where the waist is, there's this little bit that's kind of open here. And then when it comes from below the waist, it is like an extra section of fabric that comes out along the outside seam. So looking closer, here is the outside seam, and then there's just this sort of extra piece of fabric that covers it. And when they are sitting straight, it can sometimes stick out, but the nature of it being like stuck into the top here, and then at the hem, it is also stuck as well. I'm not sure the purpose of it. Perhaps it does something in terms of movement, or it's just a little flex, a little detail there. But yeah, that's the same on both sides there too. Also importantly, with the balloon pants, we do have the balloon system at the bottom where there is a draw cord at the hem. So you can adjust these huge hems here for either leg. Where interestingly, looking at the measurements, the width of the hem at max is the same as the rise, which is, I don't know, on purpose? Who knows? Maybe there's a conspiracy there. So yeah, you can cinch those to adjust the silhouette and do as you wish. These are actually a pair of pants that I've had multiple times in my wardrobe. I think each time I just move them on because I just have too many pairs of pants and I find myself not going to balloon pants as much as I think I would. But I really wanted to show these off in a video because I don't think I have shown off balloon pants yet. And whilst I don't have a pair of mainline balloon pants, I have had one in the past, but they didn't fit. They're a size 3, they didn't fit at all. I couldn't even, I'm just too fat for them. So I think I'd need to be like a size 5, but whereas the one size fits all in GroundY fits me just fine. But yeah, these are a great entry point into balloon pants if you don't want to go the site route. Like the site Hakama balloon pants are still one of, if not my favorite silhouette in terms of balloon pants. Above these, above mainline, just so good. But yeah, these are the GroundY balloon pants. They are just, I don't know. I always like to talk about balloon pants and how they're so versatile because effectively you're at least getting 2 pairs of pants in one because you can cinch those hems. You can have a pair of incredibly wide pants, or you could have a pair of pants where the hems sort of like balloon out. It's a nice idea and nice sort of thing to have where you can play with your garments and change up the look altogether with how they go. So it's definitely worth considering getting a pair of balloons into your wardrobe should you be about that life. Okay, so finally we come to the wrap pants. Now, something that is important to note about wrap pants is that yes, GroundY has their own pair of wrap pants. A very important thing to note though as well is that there are different types of fabric these can come in. In the past, I have had experience with a wool GroundY wrap pant that was 100% wool. And it was very interesting because that wool had a texture that I'd never come across before in Yohji pieces. It seemed very odd. I'm not saying whether that's like a good or a bad thing. It was just very, very different because I'm more used to this wool poly blend. And then like the mainline wool, I'm not sure where I would have placed it, but it was just different. And I probably should have done a video on those, but these are in the wool poly blend 100. As we can see, we do have the belt with the apron coming across the front. That is the key feature of the wrap pants. And as well as that, we can see on the back, we do have, similar to the mainline ones, the buttons coming through and these pleated sections coming across from either side there. Looking underneath, it is very, very similar the terms of the pattern where we do have the leg and the apron comes across on one. And then the other leg has it all stitched in similar to the mainline pair. Overall, I do really like this fabric a lot. I have said it many times before. We do have the balloon pants in that same fabric and it does the job quite well. I think it looks quite nice and light and sort of hangs very well, especially compared to just like regular cotton. I did have someone commenting on the wrap pants video just saying that they don't like black scandal cotton because it's just a step down from wool. Look, it's to each their own. They are very, very good points that are put there. And, you know, I would have to agree. But as I've said many times before, cotton just suits my weird skin better. It's just how it goes. But yeah, let's compare these to the mainline black scandal pair, just so I know we can see how similar or how different they actually are. So this is the black scandal pair that we looked at in a video last time. You know, just sitting here minding its own business. And here is the GroundY pair. Now, having a look at these, this is going to be tough. But I think one of the first things I can tell you off the bat is that we can see here that the waist on the mainline pair is a lot wider. Again, I think that might be because of the unisex aspect of GroundY pieces and being more for everyone, whereas the put on is aimed towards the lads. But we can see we do have quite a centimeter gain on the black scandal piece. But that doesn't mean that the GroundY piece can't get there. They both have elasticated waistbands. And so it's just a matter of stretching it out, and they will definitely fit larger sizes too. Looking at some differences here, I'm having a look at the waistband overall for both of them, and it's quite a different layout in terms of belt loops. So we can see that the GroundY piece, we have got these two sections here, these two loops there, whereas the black scandal piece does not. We just have like one center belt loop at the back, and then these two sort of like halfway across there as well. A minor difference to begin with, but we sort of keep looking through the rear here. Another difference is we see like the top of this triangular part here, there is, this is going to be so specific, but you can see that there is this like sort of bit where there's a seam that comes across there, right? Keep that in mind, because when we look at the mainline piece, that little seam there is reinforced. Like you can see that there is a different, it's just a reinforced seam there compared to this one. Perhaps better construction. So we can see as well that on the mainline piece, we have like this, I don't know what you'd call it, but there's like a little like double layer of where it's kind of folded into itself there and then comes across to then hit that main stitch there. And we can also see, I'm not sure it's coming up on camera, but that is like double stitched along here. On the GroundY pair, we can see that there is no little like stacked layer part here. And this section here is not double stitched at all. Honestly, they're just very, very small details that are different. I wouldn't say that they are like, you know, game breaking, deal breaking or anything, but we're here to compare. So that's what we're doing. Looking at the front, I think one of the easiest things to look at are the buckle parts. So here on the GroundY one, you can see that it's kind of like this gunmetal-y silver type, very angular shape there. Whereas the black scandal pair, same kind of color, but they're like D rings instead of these sort of like just rectangular ones. These are more of a D shape. Conspiracy? From that as well, we can look at both the cords. And interestingly enough, the GroundY one has like double stitching along here as like a detail, whereas the mainline one does not. They both seem to have some sort of reinforcement though. Like there's something in there, in at least the mainline one. It's kind of hard to show, but there's like something in there giving it a bit more form and structure. Perhaps in the GroundY one, the double stitching is to provide that same effect rather than having something physically in there. And then we can see that at the top, the mainline one is closed off with a horizontal stitch here, whereas the GroundY part doesn't have that. Again, these are very, very like small nitpicky details, but overall, I do think that they're both constructed quite well. Like there's no standout discrepancies that put the fear in me of something coming apart or just not fitting as well. But ultimately, I think that the GroundY pair, you know, it does hold up pretty strongly. It does do a lot. I think let's see if I can have them both sitting up. Looking at like length, they are about the same. Perhaps the mainline pair is a little bit longer and a little bit wider overall. Similar to the balloon pants, where the mainline balloon pants are longer I guess it's the same, but there's not as much discrepancy. And I think it is just that this is pitching towards the unisex part. So by having it a little bit shorter, a little bit more fitted, you can encompass a lot more body shapes rather than it being quite large to begin with. Again, for this one, the tag is inside the pocket. You can see the tag info there, and then the product code there as well. So yeah, that is a look at the wrap pants and a comparison. Thank you for indulging me. Have we learnt anything here? Like, yes, there is difference in construction from both. I suppose that is, the step up from something costing X amount of money to then the mainline costing, potentially twice that amount for extra stitching and a wider frame. I don't know. I think this is still a great option. Purists will disagree. Purists will say that the mainline is the only line. But I think it's great to have options and silhouettes that are based off mainline pieces and more accessible to other people that, dipping their toes in, or maybe they just can't get their hands on something like wrap pants because the wrap pants are a put on thing. They're not a femme thing. So this might be the closest for a femme body to pull off the same thing, should they not want to have a very, very oversized piece of clothing on their frame. So yeah, with those looks done, let's do some on-body try-ons and you'll be able to see what they look like on me. So I am 176, 177 centimeters and weigh, I don't know how much I weigh anymore. Let's just say 85 kilos. So I'm quite plump, as you can see. Plump, plump, plump. So keep that in mind when you see these on my frame and let's put some clothes on. Hey, welcome back. As you can see, I'm currently wearing everything. But yeah, that was all the pieces on body. What do you think? I am very, very warm. I don't think you can say that I'm starting to sweat, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. But yeah, I just like this smooth fabric. But yeah, what was your favorite piece? Hopefully this video has sort of given you a bit more insight into GroundY and what some of the pieces you might be able to expect from them may be. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and also feel free to ask in the Discord as well, where there is an extensive Yohji base and people there just rearing to go when no question is too much. Or at least so far, no question has been too much for the Brains Trust. So I appreciate you all, those who are in the Discord too, especially. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know, if you have any questions or things like that. But as always, you'll take care, have fun, be safe. And as always, don't do anything I'd do. Except Crepe de Chine 500, Tuxedo 500. Let it touch your body and feel and become a changed person, because my goodness, I wonder if you can get like bed sheets made out of this. Now that would be cool. All right, you'll take care, be safe, bye-bye.